know you got a lot going on.
All good. It is time. It's time for me to come back. I try to stretch. You know, I'm not like the Castros. I don't have a twin. So I've got 12 cities under my jurisdiction and areas not in a city. So it's a lot of moving.
Well, you're doing a fine job, sir.
Sir, I'm gonna quote you on that.
I'm sure. You know, you wish you had a twin.
Sir, I'm going to start recording and go live now, but we can start the meeting in 2 minutes just to make sure whoever logs in, they know they're in the right place.
And
Yeah, that's great.
Great to see you too. I like your books back in the background there. It looks great.
Just don't ask me if I've read all of them, okay?
Yeah, I've got a pretty big collection, but not completed all of them. Some of them are just go-tos when you need something.
See, did we hear from CPS yet, Paul?
Lisa Lewis is with CPS. She's on the line there.
Okay.
Hey, Lisa, how are you? I haven't talked to you in a long time. And Paul, good to hear from you.
Hey, sir. Good to see you.
You too.
Well, I'm ready anytime you are, Raul.
We can start now.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and get started today. Howdy, everybody. I'm Clayton Perry, City Councilman for District 10, and welcome to our District 10 meeting. It's a virtual meeting again, and you might have noticed some changes. You don't have to register or anything. All you have to do is click that one link, and you should be signed up. So, Raul, can you get us to the agenda here? All right. I'll have a couple more remarks, but not long. We got Commissioner Tommy Calvert here with us today, and Marion Thomas from Blessed Angels, and Frank Alvarez, he's from CPS. And that's who our lineup is tonight. And then I'll close the meeting off, hopefully within an hour, but we'll allow time for questions. And I want to, Raul, can you get it to the phone numbers for the questions? If you have a question tonight, you can't come on live on this video, but what you can do is call any one of those numbers. So I'll give you a minute here to write those numbers down. If you have a question, please call one of those numbers and talk to one of my staff, and they'll take down the question, pass it to us, and then we'll answer the question for you. That's the easiest way we can figure out how to do this. So right now, just use one of those numbers to call in, and we'll take it down and get you an answer. So, all right, well, let's go ahead and get started here. Raul, can you get back to the pledges here? All right, great. Well, I'd like to lead off by starting the Pledge of Allegiance. If y'all can follow with me, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now the Texas Pledge. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Great. Thank you, everybody, for participating in that. I want to go ahead and just talk and introduce our first guest tonight on the panel is Commissioner Tommy Calvert. A lot of you may not know this, but about Precinct 3 and Precinct 4, we share a boundary with both Precinct 3 and Precinct 4. Commissioner Calvert is very active in the neighborhoods and getting out. I know we participated in some group discussions on what's going on in this area, and wanted to invite him tonight. We had Commissioner DeBerry on, and she gave us some real good comments and had some really great information for everybody. And I wanted to give Commissioner Calvert that same opportunity to talk to us a little bit what he has planned for his precinct number 4. And remember, we share that boundary. So I thought it was very important to get him to this meeting also. So with that, sir, the floor is all yours.
Well, thank you, Councilman Perry. And I want to say what I said before when we were in maybe the back room. I'm just super happy that your health is going great. You're sounding strong and back at 'em representing us. And I know what it's like, obviously, to go through it because I did too. And I'm just so glad that we're hopefully coming into a much better season for ourselves and for our country. It's good to see everybody on the District 10 group here. And I want to acknowledge, of course, Councilman Gallagher again for his great service, not only on council, but also with the District 10 Neighborhood Alliance for so many years and so many other things. So a couple of housekeeping items. As you all probably know, we've been advocating together for a location for COVID vaccines in the Northeast. I've put before the University Health System a request that we look at everything from Rack Space to Living Way Church to Northeast Lakeview and the Toyota Field. Actually, Commissioner DeBerry and I agree that Toyota Field will be a very good site. And I have asked that of George Hernandez, our University Health System. There isn't a whole lot of movement other than through the Alamo colleges. It looks as if we will have some movement in Alamo colleges. I requested again today Northeast Lakeview, as it looks like St. Philip's College may be added as the vaccine location. But we'll continue. We know that's far for a lot of folks. We know Crossroads is far for a lot of folks. We'll continue to advocate for something in our area. And I always encourage people to give the county judge and the mayor, who are really exercising their emergency powers right now, and let them know just how important it is to have those things in your area. One of the things that obviously we're continuing to do now that we're starting to get a little bit of traction to normalcy is resume the economic development tours and investment tours that we have done in the area. And it's so important that we maintain the integrity of our neighborhoods, improve the housing stock that comes into our area, and also the commercial opportunities that are there. And so I love playing a bootleg realtor or bootleg developer and going on driving tours and explaining this is where the public sector investment is, and this is what can come with private sector investment. We see the benefits of that in areas around our county, and I'm committed to working with the councilman as well on the areas that are of particular highlight importance in District 10, such as the TERS there up Parambittle, Nacogdoches Road, and making sure that those areas are also maintained. We know that one of the big issues that's rated very highly in the Fairfax case at 12 poll was the issue of homelessness. Homelessness has erupted all over the city and the county in a way that I have never seen in my lifetime. And I think one of the things that is important for me to empower groups and individuals like those on this WebEx call is kind of how we got here. In short, what I'm learning by actually going out and speaking with homeless people who are experiencing homelessness is that the Haven for Hope model that we bought into is not necessarily for everybody, and that we may need to revisit the ordinance that transitioned the homeless organizations from their approach to how they dealt with homelessness and consolidated over to Haven. And begin to look at additional areas where we can house people. I want to thank the councilman for his leadership in the mental health aspect of trying to get folks. And I think one of the many legs in the stool of getting people off the streets is not just the counseling and the mental health needs, which are vast, addiction needs, huge, but also making sure that they are there's a place where they can go that isn't a tent city along our highway or a drainage ditch or in the front of a neighborhood, but that we actually do things like look at the county property. We own about 40 acres on Southton Road, right across from our Bexar County Emergency command center. We've got substance abuse counseling there with lifetime recovery. And that could be an ideal place for the city and county to actually partner, where we actually own land. And there can be many different types of housing that can be built. There can be housing where people maybe are in the old train car stations to apartment living. And some, as I have found in talking with those who are experiencing homelessness, some of them do want to live outside. And so we've got to look at a couple of different options. There are some rules that you should know that are created at Haven that are not very helpful to getting people off the streets. For example, we're renting a hotel on Cesar Chavez there. And if you're not in by 5 p.m., then you cannot stay there. If you work, and many people are the working poor, if you work a 9-to-5 job and you get there at 5:30, then it's not acceptable to stay there. I think that's a rule that should be dropped. And we've got to look at impediments in the contracts when the city and the county are giving funding to some of these groups. We've got to look at making sure that the deliverables and objectives of having getting people transitioned in a variety of ways are truly done. As I close and just offer an opportunity to ask any questions, one of the things I want to empower the folks with is a seminar that the National Association of Counties actually did for commissioners. They had the second largest private insurance company in the United States, a company called United Healthcare, do a seminar. They said that in Milwaukee County, the United Healthcare private insurance company actually paid the county to house people. They actually, what do I mean by that? They actually paid a person the full-time salary of a staff member to find housing for those who were homeless. And they even paid the rent. Now, why did United Healthcare, the second largest private insurance company in the United States, do that? Because what they found is for every dollar they invested in someone who was homeless or housing insecure's housing, they saved in care and care medically, both with primary and with mental health. They run those, they have actuaries, they run all those models, and that's what their findings were. So this is a linchpin that has been missing. We're going to push at the State House, and we are an arm of the state as the county to finish the state hospital. But remember, there's lots of acreage that's empty on that state hospital ground. The renovations are about $300 million. They've got about 180 already that's funded. So we need to get that last little amount. But then there's open acreage where there could be additional services and additional housing. So all of these things, we definitely hear you, see you, and are working to ensure that in the future, we have the kind of infrastructure that lets people be self-sufficient. So in any event, I will wrap it up there. And if we have time for questions, I'm open to any subject.
Okay, now's your time to get one of those phone numbers and call in. We'll give you a little bit of time, but sir, what you were talking about the homeless situation here in the county and the city. Are there any specific programs that the county is doing? I know what the city is doing, but what specific programs are y'all doing?
Well, my short answer is what we're doing isn't working.
Okay.
Because I have seen more homeless camps than I've ever seen. What I can say is we have emergency services grants, of course, which I'm sure you all administer. Those emergency services grants are more geared towards helping people avoid homelessness, meaning pay that rent that they may have, as opposed to dealing with folks who are chronically in experiencing homelessness. So we mirror quite a few of the programs that the city does in terms of whether we fund Haven for Hope or the CAM. We just gave $1.4 million to SAM Shelter. But one of the things that I've been doing is I've been going to the nonprofits and saying, look, because of the COVID experience, we have been giving more money than ever before to homeless organizations. But I don't understand why more people are homeless than ever before. And I just want them to explain it to me. I tell them, look, I'm not trying to beat up on you. I just want you to help me understand when more money is going why not a greater return? And I think what I have found is that structurally, we have to reform our policies as elected leaders that have consolidated the homeless housing response into Haven. Haven is a wonderful thing. Haven is a transitional home, but Haven has its shortcomings. And the folks in homelessness, experiencing homelessness, will tell you that. I go in under the bridges and I talk to those who are experiencing homelessness about what those shortcomings are. In fact, I plan to do a town hall under the bridge to actually bring together those experiencing homelessness as well as those who are serving every day, so that we can really understand how do we restructure these things and the objectives that we do. So I think sometimes bureaucrats get used to running the same program over and over, year after year, and we have a changing environment. So while we do all kinds of things, it's clear to me it's not working. And that's why I'm literally going under the bridge and asking a lot of tough questions.
Great, thank you, sir. Is there any questions that have been called in, staff? Do I get a head nod? Yes, no?
Yeah,
No, sir.
no, no question.
It's all good. I guess everything's been said, so it's all good.
That's great.
I'll stay
That's
on the line
great.
and I'll be here.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, sir, and thank you for that information. And we enjoy sharing the boundary with between 3 and 4. And I know y'all are all doing great work out there as well, and keeping us safe and putting the dollars where they really need to be within the county here. So thank you very much, sir.
Appreciate
All
you.
right.
Okay. Thank you.
Next, we have, we have Marion Thomas with us today, and she is, well, she runs Blessed Angels. I don't know if any of you have heard or seen what Blessed Angels do, but she's going to be telling us what she's doing over there with that facility and her volunteers. That they do excellent work over there. I just got to tell you a little story. First time I was elected back in 2017, had this invitation to come see Blessed Angels, and I had to drive around the parking lot. It was in that strip center that's at O'Connor and Nacogdoches, and there was a bank on the corner there, and then a little building in the middle, and then all the strip mall. I couldn't find Blessed Angels, and I finally found it. It was just in this little bitty hole in the wall place in that strip center, and I finally found it. And when I went in, it was just chock full of boxes and stuff ready to be given away. I think they were getting ready for Thanksgiving at the time, and it was from floor to ceiling high in there. And I said, man, what in the world you got going on here? Well, they've since moved into a larger facility that serves more people and has just been, I call Marion my angel of District 10. So Marion, why don't you take the floor and tell us a little bit about what you do there?
Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me. I am just so honored to be among such distinguished guests. Let me tell you a little something about Blessed Angels. We are an emergency food pantry for low-income veterans, homeless, senior citizens, children, and families in need. We've been in operation since 2014, and we've already served over 310,000 families with emergency groceries, disaster relief, diapers, backpacks, Thanksgiving and Christmas groceries, and turkeys and toys for our children, and more. Last year alone, we provided COVID relief to 132,000 families. And right now, I'd like to ask Raul to show you a little video that I brought with me, just to give you a quick idea of what we do and how we do it. There's no sound.
Hang on, Raul, there's something wrong with the sound here. Can you back up and start it over again or something? Because I'm not hearing sound either. And it's not a video, it's just still shots.
Let me take a look at this. Hold on.
Okay, folks, remember this is a new system that we're using here. We're trying to get this straightened out.
Marion, did you say you served 132,000 families?
Yes, sir.
Wow, you are an angel. Wow.
That was last year, and it was unexpected. We just did it.
Wow, that's a lot of people.
Thank you.
Not too sure why it's not letting me. I can play the video here, but I don't know why it's not showing on the streams end here.
It's also on YouTube, sir. If you need it. You want me to keep going while you're getting it together, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and when you get it together, just give me a cue. So the mission of Blessed Angels is to fight hunger, provide emergency relief, resources, and educational programs to help families live a healthier lifestyle, and to make sure that no child or senior citizen or family has to go to bed hungry. We have citizens from all zip codes with no restrictions. We also have Blessed Angels Senior Center. It's a fun place where our seniors can get a hot meal, play bingo, exercise, dance classes, computer classes, arts and crafts, health educational classes, and more. Are we ready?
Miss Mary, let's take a look at this. Let me try it now.
Yes, sir. Thank you. This was just a week ago. This was our spring break disaster relief. Now we're going to do this again this Wednesday. It's going to be for our seniors that are 60 and over. So if you would like to join us, a volunteer, please let me know. We also have, in September of 2020, we added Kim's Angel Delivery Service. With this service, we deliver groceries and other necessities to disabled homebound senior citizens that are 60 and over. Coming soon will be parking lot bingo. It'll be a way for our seniors to get out of the house and safely have fun in their cars while playing bingo. Blessed Angels is committed to serving the senior community. And as the host site for seniors, we distribute healthy, nutritional groceries, fresh vegetables, adult and children diapers, pet food, and other necessities on the third Wednesday of every month at 9:30 a.m. until we run out. Because of COVID, we're just doing it for the entire community and no registration is necessary. It's first come, first serve. And then on the first Wednesday of every month, we have a food distribution for everyone in need. And I'm very partial to my seniors, and I encourage them to come back and get more, because a lot of our seniors are taking care of their grandbabies, and they're really having a tough time making ends meet. And so whatever extra I can do for them, we do. So on the first Wednesday, we have a regular food distribution for everyone, and we distribute the groceries and diapers and pet food. We start at 9:30, and it's the same system until we run out. No registration necessary. First come, first serve. And believe it or not, a lot of folks get there right after midnight. It just touches my heart to see these people, sitting in their cars. A month ago, we gave out blankets, and it was right on time, because these folks that are sitting in their cars waiting to get food, it gets cold. So we also distribute backpacks, Thanksgiving and Christmas groceries, and turkeys with all the fixings. We also give out toys for the underserved children. And so for registration dates and times for these events, please check our website or Facebook page. And all of this is done through drive-through. Blessed Angels Community Center is operated by donations from the general public and awesome partnerships. And some of our wonderful partners include District 10, Councilman Clayton Perry and his awesome staff, San Antonio Food Bank, Texas Diaper Bank, God's Dogs Rescue, American Red Cross, WellMed, the National Veterans Outreach, American GI Forum, the United States Coast Guard, and a host of awesome private donors and friends. So if you would like to donate, please visit our website. And we're always looking for volunteers. Again, if you would like to volunteer, give us a call at 210-284-4391. We do practice social distancing, and so we only have a certain number of volunteers each time. This way we can keep everyone safe. So thank you so much for your time. I am humbly honored. And if there are any questions, please, I'm free to ask.
Great. Marion, thank you very much. And that's an awesome video. And I can tell you that they have a number of different videos that they put out for each one of their events, and they do an awesome job advertising what they do over there. Can you repeat that phone number one more time real slowly, Marion, so people can get that down?
210-284-4391.
And let me tell everybody, if you get an opportunity, please go sign up to volunteer. I've been there a number of times. My favorite time is Christmas time. And seeing those little faces light up when they drive through and seeing Santa and getting a whole big bag full of toys. I don't know, Marion, do you have off the top of your head how many toys you distributed during that thing?
Last year it was about 1,700. 1,700.
Wow.
I know.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
And you can do that when the community come together, to make it happen. So
absolutely. Well, great. Marion, thank you so much again. Really appreciate that information. Paul, do we have any questions or anything at this point that we need to go back and address?
No, one caller, I sent the information over to Steve. She has some homeless encampment information and she's going to get it over to him.
Okay. All right. Great. Awesome. Well, thank you again, ma'am. All right. We're going to switch over a little bit now to CPS Energy, and they brought so many people to this meeting. I don't even know who they all are. They've got people from all over the place coming to attend this meeting today, but we do have Frank Alvarez. I think he's going to take the lead in presenting to us and talking a little bit about this Snowvid, or some people have called it Snowmageddon, several different, and then there's other names out there that I'm not going to repeat, but we've got a lot of different issues going on, and I'll just turn it over to CPS. And Frank, if you want to make any introductions, feel free.
Yeah, thank you, Councilman Perry, for the invitation to be here tonight, to be here with all of you. It's nice to see you, Commissioner. Ms. Thomas, I just want to tell you, my family is proud to have donated to Blessed Angels during the pandemic in support of the work that you're doing in the community. It's organizations like yours, the food bank, and others that are making such a difference. And I just feel like it's such a pleasure to, see you here on camera today and see that video that you put up on the board for us there. I think the parking lot bingo was a pretty cool idea. I haven't seen that before, but really a nice touch. Councilman Perry, as you noted, there are several members of the CPS Energy team on the call here. John Leal is on, I don't know if he's broadcasting his camera, but with me and on camera now is our Chief Administrative Officer, Lisa Lewis. I'm Frank Alvarez. I'm the Chief Power, Sustainability, and Business Development Officer for CPS Energy. And I'm going to take a second to give you some information that some members on of this call may have, but others may not. And I'm going to weave in some preliminary thoughts on what we're doing to address areas where we weren't good enough in this weather event. I say preliminary because I think the councilman knows really well from his work that he's beginning to do to look broadly at the event in San Antonio. It's a lot to unravel and unpack, but there are some things that we have a pretty good feel for right now, and then lots and lots to learn as we go. So we're of course connected to the state grid, and therefore these outages impacted the entire state, but I'm going to focus on CPS Energy for my comments this evening. Of course, I can answer questions as well about the broader issues. But the scale of this winter event was absolutely extreme. As you all know, we had 100+ hours of continuously below freezing temperatures, and it impacted all types of generation, from wind and solar to natural gas and coal. And by way of sizing it, after the controlled outages that hit Texas in 2011, CPS Energy spent $17 million to redesign and implement enhanced weatherization for our plants. And during that 2011 event, there were 4,000 megawatts of forced load shed that hit the grid. And prior to that, there had been three prior events where load shed was required in the state. Those were 1,000 each. So it was 1,000, 1,000, 1,000 across the span of 15 years. And then one day it was 4,000. So this was an extraordinarily high number in 2011. Well, the event of this February was 20,000. It was 5 times as big as the prior record. So obviously, at a historic scale. And even the winterization efforts that we undertook after the 2011 event, $17 million, once again, was just not adequate for a storm of this historic magnitude. So we have to look at that and figure out what is the right design point to design for. So one quick example is that there was an 8-inch water processing pipe at our Browning power plant that froze. And if you just think, an 8-inch pipe, it's pretty big. That's not the size of pipe that freezes in South Texas. And in fact, this pipe didn't freeze in 2011, but it did freeze this February. So sometimes people talk about weatherization and plants in the Northeast and how there are plants that, you know, routinely operate in weather that's pretty darn cold. What I'll say is this: in Texas, we build plants to create outside airflow that allows heat to escape. And that's because you don't want pumps and electronic equipment and our personnel you don't want to expose people or equipment to those extraordinarily hot Texas summer temperatures in an enclosure where they can get sick, or in the case of the equipment failed. And in other parts of the country where it gets very cold, it's the reverse that you're trying to get to. You want to keep the heat in. You want to keep that cold air out. And so you build enclosures, and that's just sort of the reverse approach. So once again, these are engineered systems that we have to relook at and redesign, and part of that is going to be to look at this event and decide what constitutes, you know, kind of a 100-year event. I think we have to redefine that term. From a contingency planning standpoint, we run annual day-long incident drills involving over 100 employees who prepare for weeks for the event. And every other year, we participate in an event called GridX, and that's coordinated by the federal agency who regulates us, called NERC, the North American Electric Reliability Corporation, and it involves hundreds of electric utilities nationwide. And here at CPS Energy, we have all of our most senior leaders and hundreds of employees co-located in a facility. Previously, we've held it at the Assembly Building. And we involve state and federal partners, including the United States military, as well as FEMA and local emergency response partners. Employees prepare for months, and we undergo this event across a couple of days. And it's a full-on simulation, from communications to injects with disastrous type things that befall us, and we have to simulate all kinds of disasters. And as I said, you know, even that wasn't good enough. So as I said before, we're reevaluating really all aspects of our emergency response and preparation for events like this one. But a few things jump to mind immediately that I'll note here. The first is that we have to find a way to communicate more effectively with our customers. We need to be able to access civil emergency communications channels, which we can't do at present. We couldn't do it in the event. We can't do it today. We have to better integrate with our local agencies and with local government, and make sure that we are able to get those important messages across to our community on the one hand, and then on the other hand, be able to give better, more timely updates to our customers about what is causing the situation, and how what our response looks like, and better predictions as to what, you know, how the event is going to unfold. All of those things were challenging, and we were challenged to do that in this event. We have to find ways to manage our outages in a more precise way. It's hard to explain, but I'll try really briefly. There are over 600 circuits in the city of San Antonio, and they are not lined up across city blocks and things the way that you might think. They're sort of scattered throughout, and it has a lot to do with the way that the city develops. And as a particular neighborhood goes in, a circuit obviously has to go in advance of that to support that community or that neighborhood. So it's not the case that, one of the things people observed is that, hey, my house has been out for hours or even a day, and I look down the road and people that are not far from me, you know, they have had power the entire time. Well, that's one of the challenges that the system design that we have today creates. But there are ways that we can deploy technology, and we're looking into those very aggressively to figure out how we can get more precise outages and make it, you know, fairly impact everybody. The other thing is that our systems were not designed for the magnitude of the rolling or the forced outages that we were going to have to manage through. And, you know, while they work just fine for the smaller ones, our system was overwhelmed, and we had to go to a manual operation to make sure that we were getting people who had been out for a long time back up. And that's a place where we have to do better. We have to use technology, and I think develop technology in some cases that doesn't exist today, along some of our industry partners, to bring this to our community to be more effective next time. And finally, we're working on a multifaceted way to make sure that our customers aren't saddled by unfair or illegitimate bills like others in Texas have faced. You may have seen that we are in the middle of the legal action with ERCOT. With that process will take some time, and we're going to figure out where to go from here. We also bought natural gas to supply our community. You know, you use natural gas to heat your water, heat your home, to cook.
Okay, something happened to your sound there, Frank.
Yeah, something happened. My phone, the call failed on my phone, so I've gone to the computer.
Okay, sounds great.
So, so we're working with our gas suppliers and vendors to talk about what opportunities there may be to address what those bills look like. Our most important thing is that we are highly rated credit, and it's for times like this that CPS Energy has closely guarded and safeguarded that credit to be able to weather through historic events like this one. And so we do have financial tools at our disposal to allow us to make sure that we don't have to pass along those unconscionable prices to our customers. And we are not going to pass along costs until we have expended every option available to us to bring those costs to what we think are fair and reasonable. So those are my comments. I kind of got a little long-winded there, but I'm glad to answer any questions, Councilman, that you or your viewers here might have.
No, if you want to add some more to this, that's fine. But if that was kind of an overview of this whole thing, but if folks have questions, please call them in now, and we'll go back to each one of the presenters if there's any questions for Commissioner Calvert or Marion Thomas or CPS here, and we'll go from there. Do we have any questions in here, Paul?
Yeah, we do. We have several. I'm going to start off with Richard Williamson asked that rather than the rehash of what went wrong, if we could focus on what is CPS Energy going to do now to make it better. I think he's also concerned about the high bills and that kind of thing. He wants to know what's going to happen in the future. So that's a good one to start with.
Yeah, sure. I tried to lace in a little bit of what we're doing now, but I'll just go back over it really quickly. We are reevaluating everything, as I said. I mean, what constitutes a 100-year storm? Where our design points ought to be for weatherization of our plants? Should we design to a Minnesota standard? Maybe that's the right thing to do. Everything costs money, but if that saves our community from an event like this, then it will be money well spent. So we need to look at that. We've got to look at our ability to use communication channels and create new ones. We've got to deploy and in some cases develop alongside our industry peers and partners technology that will allow us to do a more effective job of outage management. And as I said, really expend every tool in our toolkit to make sure that unconscionable, illegitimate high prices are not passed along to our customers before we begin to recover any of those costs from our customers.
All right.
Thank you. Larry Johnson wanted just to make it known, and maybe you could address this. He received a phone call from somebody who was imitating CPS, and it was a scam. They called him and they said that he's about to be in trouble for not paying his bill and that kind of thing, and they asked him to press 1 and to, I guess give credit card information. So he recognized that as a potential scam. he wanted you to address that if possible.
Yeah, thank you. This is, it's really awful that we have people that do that, but it is something that we deal with fairly routinely, and we put out a good bit of social media messaging, and we put it in our bills inserts, because we don't want our customers to be taken advantage of. I'll tell you this, nobody should call you and tell you that you're going to be disconnected if you don't pay right away. And in fact, I'm going to ask Lisa Lewis, who's on the phone, to elaborate on that just a bit.
Thanks, Frank. So one thing I will say is anytime you can catch a number for one of those scammers, please do and call our customer service line. That's the 353-2222 number. They will actually be able to work with local law enforcement and the phone company, and they can actually work to shut those numbers down. So if there is an actual phone number associated with that, please do call and arrange, let them know that so that they can help facilitate that process. And we do shut down probably anywhere from 3 to 10 of those a month. And they, as you would expect, they move to the next number and start the whole process again. Just a reminder too, CPS Energy has not been doing any disconnect since March of last year in an effort to help customers who are obviously dealing with difficult times. So somebody calling you, telling you they're trying to disconnect is just out and out lying. That's not how we would go about doing this anyway, if we had to do it, and we are not doing that right now. Anything I missed, Frank, that you think I should share?
No, and I'm really glad you raised the point about we're just not doing disconnects at all anyway, not for, for the last 12 months because of COVID. And when we do, you get ample notice with mailers and things like that to make sure that we're communicating, and you have opportunities to call us and get on payment plans and all that kind of stuff. So we don't just shut anybody off.
Great, thank y'all very much. A few more questions. Somebody asked, what about implementing an alert type of system for notifications on emergencies? And we do have something like that. Councilman, I don't know if you want to address.
Yeah, let me take that one on. I can tell you that this is one of my biggest complaints. There was a lack of communication between the city and CPS and SAWS. We do have an emergency alert system. In fact, some alerts have gone out about COVID, but for some reason, and I've asked that question, it was not used during this emergency situation. And I'm going to be asking some very tough questions about that, why we couldn't get a coordinated response between all three entities going out on this emergency broadcast system. So more to come on that.
Yeah, and the only thing I would add to that, Councilman, I think, and I'm glad you're doing that. I appreciate, again, the work that you're doing there. The other thing is that we have opt-in communications with our with our customers. So if you were to go into your account and sign up and allow us to send out communications, you would have and actually did receive notices. Now, that doesn't take the place of a civil emergency, process like you have, Councilman, but it can help. Every little bit helps. When you're in a situation like this, and we love to have the ability to get direct messaging to customers when we need to.
Yeah, that would be great, Frank. If you could send us specific instructions on how people can sign up for that, that would be great. And we'll put it in my newsletter and put it out on all my social media. Hey, this is what you can do to receive direct messages from CPS.
We'll do that. Thank you, sir.
We got a question from Barbara. I don't know who could answer this on this call. We might have to follow up with her later. But she wanted to know the name of the pipe that never busted. Does anyone know? Well, we'll have to figure that one out later.
Yeah.
We got a couple more. One from an anonymous guest, Mike Gallagher. He was curious about what the bills are going to look like in the future.
Well, that's hard to say at this time. We're, like I said, using every bit of our the tools that are available to us to manage those to be fair bills. We had costs that were approaching $1 billion from this event. That's more than our annual fuel bill for, for any year. We have already done some things that have improved that number. And we're gonna chip away at that number and drive that number as low as it possibly can go. So, the good news is we haven't passed any of those costs on, and the second bit of good news is that it's going to be the reason why we haven't passed them on is because we still have arrows in the quiver, so to speak, to lower it, and we won't be passing them along until we get that number as low as it can go.
Paul, can I just ask a follow-up question for the pricing and the bills? Couple of things that I think we need to know. Is your lawsuit asking the courts to address whether or not the emergency orders against price gouging were being violated by those high rates? It was regulated and allowed by law, but does your lawsuit ask a judge to make a determination about whether there was price gouging going on?
So the lawsuit with ERCOT does not allege price gouging. What it does is make sure that we don't get saddled. So it's kind of a pain to. There's lots of entities in ERCOT. Some of them went bankrupt. I think, like a lot of people have read about Gritty as an example, went bankrupt. When they go bankrupt, their fees go to ERCOT, and ERCOT has to pass them out to everybody else. Well, we don't want that. We're not going to pay those fees. So we're asking the court to prevent us from having to pay the fees and costs of companies that went bankrupt. And there is some legislation that was introduced at the state legislature to reprice certain portions of the event, and that will do, I think, what you're describing, Commissioner, which is to lower the overall price, which we think was too high. It was held too high for too long.
This may be a John Leal or a Lisa question, but are you hearing anything with respect to using the rainy day fund of the state to either help you with weatherization or help customers with their energy bills to lower that cost? Are you hearing anything? Are you pushing that be a piece of legislation?
Commissioner, this is John Leal. I think it's a little early to be able to answer that question. I think there are a lot of things in motion, as Frank mentioned. There are things that are happening at the legislature now that could possibly bring relief, but I think we need to let both the Senate and the House figure those things out from the state legislature first. I hope that it doesn't necessarily answer your question, but I hope it gives you an understanding that many things are in motion at the moment.
Well, let me just say this, John. You all are a ratepayer, municipally owned utility, and as such, I think it's important on behalf of the ratepayers that your legislative agenda include relief for ratepayers. And COVID's been a rainy day. The storm was a rainy day, and we've got the money there. And I think it definitely necessitates giving us some relief. So I want to encourage you all to add it to your legislative program. Make it happen as much as you can with your utility partners across the state. I think those are really important charges for your legislative team in Austin.
I think your point is well taken. And like I said, there are many things in motion that could provide relief from that level. So thank you for your thoughts and comments on that.
Thank you. And Renette King answered in, and it's a PEX pipe. I don't know if they call it PEX or what do they call it, but that's the one that didn't bust. I'm going to turn it over to Steve. He got a couple of questions.
Yeah, both questions for CPS. I think this is pretty much everybody's question. Do you feel that ERCOT is the problem? Should we get rid of it and get on the national grid?
Steve, it's nice to see you.
Yes, sir.
So, it's a very complex question. I would say this, I don't think it's that simple. I think, so sometimes people will say, hey, well, maybe it would be better if we were disconnected from ERCOT. And then other people will say, well, maybe it'd be better if we were connected to, one of the, Eastern or Western interconnect. Of course, there is no national grid. But I think that there are several policy questions to answer about ERCOT, its oversight, its governance, the ERCOT protocols, market structure, and how things work. And I think there's a legitimate question about whether we would have benefited by being part of a larger entity. So I think that's the billion-dollar question that you just asked.
Well, yeah, so I just want to comment. $1 billion are in the right language, cha-ching, because I think that the ultimate. Let me just back up and say, some of you remember I served on the highway board known as the Alamo Regional Mobility Authority as the appointee for Commissioner Atkinson some years ago before I was commissioner. And one of the things that I learned in the way the state operates is that the state of Texas often creates intermediaries to take blame for things legislators and people in state office actually do. So I would say to the person asking the question, that ERCOT was simply implementing the regulatory environment that the legislature created for it. And it was designed for them to take the blame away from the legislators who created that environment. Just like the Alamo Regional Mobility Authority, the toll authority was designed to take blame away from legislators who wanted to have toll roads, so that you would blame the members of the board of the Alamo Regional Mobility Authority for passing that. So keeping our eye on the ball, we have to keep our eye on the legislature and be very focused on the regulatory environment that everyone was operating under. Now, CPS has a burden as someone that's owned by the public to do the right thing in spite of the regulatory environment. It may be okay not to weatherize, but is it the best thing for the ratepayers? I think we know the answer to that. So we have to keep our eyes on that and get change there. And as long as we blame ERCOT, we're not blaming the right entity. They're just doing what they were told.
All right. Well, thank you, sir. Paul, do we have any more questions at this point? And sir, you bring up some really good points, but there's a lot of state actions that are going to be happening on this whole thing, and it's not just San Antonio; it's the whole state. So we're monitoring that, and hopefully we'll have some good news out of not only this lawsuit, but also from the state on relief of this bill that's hanging out there for CPS. Paul, where do we stand?
Steve had one more question.
Okay. Fire away, Steve.
Yeah, you pretty much addressed it. Several folks are concerned about what the bill format is going to look like in the future. And how are they going to know they're paying for the big freeze as opposed to their regular bill? So, but that's still going to all be in the works, right?
Yes. And I would say this, that we've been trying real hard to communicate with people about what the bill is not including now. And I think the objective would be to communicate as well. At the point where we have results, we would want to convey that information so that nobody's caught off guard by it. So yes, we want to communicate. And I would just say this, once again, I appreciate the opportunity to be on. We are focused on doing the right thing for our customers. It's why we exist. We don't have shareholders. We don't pay, dividends to, people who, investors who live all around the world and, whatever, fly private jets and things. We are owned by the community, and every nickel that we spend is on your behalf, and every nickel that we collect is to, provide essential services to our customers. And, we take pride in doing the right thing, and we're going to be focused on that.
All right, great. Thanks, Frank. I'm going to cut it off there because we're running out of time here, but I just wanted to go over a few comments of mine. I've been assigned to this special committee to take a look at this whole event and take a look at CPS, the city, and SAWS on what went, what happened before, during, and after the snowstorm. So we're meeting every Friday at 10 o'clock. So if you want to tune into it, go to TVSA and you can tune in and watch these committee meetings. It's not going to be an overnight thing. It's going to take a while to do that. Let me talk about a couple other things right quick here. we have a couple of, well, we got elections coming up, but I want to focus in. There's two charter amendments in there. So I want each and every one of you to take a look at those charter amendments. One is about the police contract, doing away with the police contract, and the other is opening up the bonds instead of just going for city infrastructure, basically opening them up for anything to fund with the bonds. So make sure you go in and study those. If you're for it, vote for it. If you're against it, vote against it, because these two items are going to be very important for this city. And just take a look at it and make your decision and vote either yes or no on that. But make sure you're very up to speed on what those carry along with them. I also submitted a council consideration request to develop emergency preparation guides for the citizens out in the community for things like a freeze. What do you do to prepare for that? For a heat wave, what do you do to prepare for that? For floods, for, those are our big three, flooding by a hurricane. Those are the big three that happen a lot here to San Antonio. But what should people be doing to prepare for those? I can tell you, I did not prepare for this last snow event. I thought it was great, was playing in the snow and everything, but after a couple of 3 days of that, it got really old. So I'm going to be prepared next time when I see something coming down from the north that's freezing everything in its path and getting ready. But I want to put this preparation guide out there to folks to say, hey, here's some of the things you can do to prepare for those. So hopefully that'll get through the council, and we'll get that started. Every one of you out that are living here in San Antonio. With that, we do have. Oh,
Councilman. Real quick, Councilman Perry. The noise ordinance review also, that CCR we just released it today.
Yes, we have a noise ordinance review that I joint signed with Councilman Trevino, and it was basically based off of the problems that we're having with Broadway, which we have some bars there that play loud music right next to residents trying to live and trying to sleep. So we've reinitiated this to go back and take a look at our noise criteria on what people need to be putting up with and what not. So that's coming out here soon also, hopefully soon through council. Councilman Gallagher, did you have anything? I saw you waving your hand. Oh, you're on mute. You're on mute, sir. Oh, there you go. Oh, you put it back on mute. There you go.
Great. Okay, I just wanted to have everybody mark their calendars for everybody that's watching for April 19th at 7 p.m. That's going to be a very important evening for us. We're going to have a candidates forum for those candidates who are running for District 10 City Council office. So I want you all to tune into that, because that's how we make the decisions. And I'd like to back up what Councilman Perry just said about those charter amendments. As you go down there to vote, make sure you have a clear understanding of those issues, because that's going to really affect the future of San Antonio. That's what I had, Councilman. Thank you very much.
Great. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah.
So, okay, I haven't let the staff know about this, but kind of worked out a deal. We started doing these giveaways of items for those that are participating in these meetings. So if you can get on your email and send an email that you were in this meeting, let's see, what is the email address? The District 10 email address, Paul, what is it?
It's district10@sanantonio.gov.
Okay, that's spelling out district, DISTRICT, and then 10, the number 1 and 0 at sanantonio.gov. Send in an email that you are attending tonight, and you will become eligible for a prize tonight. We have a giveaway of Ace Hardware, they gave us a gift certificate. If you don't know, Ace Hardware is opening a brand new store right here on Thousand Oaks. The grand opening is actually Friday. See about getting over there, and you might get some giveaways there also. But Ace Hardware has a gift certificate. Do we know how much that's for, Paul?
Jarvis does.
Or Jarvis?
$10, sir.
I'm sorry?
$10.
$10. You're breaking up a little bit. So you got to, okay. And then we have
$10.
Yeah, got you. Then we have a candle from Good Goods, and very nice candle, scented and decorated. So got those two. And I tell you what, I'm going to kick in a free meal, one free meal. I'll go and buy it myself to the barbecue station right there on 410 and Harry Wurzbach. So Paul, I'll pick up the tab on that and pay for that price. But you have to send in an email that you were here at this meeting tonight, district10@sanantonio.gov. So those are the 3 gifts tonight. Good luck, and we'll have the drawing and get back with you. Yeah, give us make sure we have your contact information, either your email address or phone number. All right, great. Paul, is that it? We're a little bit over, but not much. We got it?
Yes, sir.
All right, cool. Thank you very much, everybody, for attending, and thank you to all the presenters tonight. That was a fantastic program, and look forward to seeing y'all again soon. We'll talk to y'all later. Good night.
Bye.